when I talk about the Roman era that started in 68 BC, the Romans quite fast understood something that their predecessors did not. They realized that they don't understand a thing about what's going on. You know, it takes a lot of guts and a lot of courage to admit that you don't know. And I wish it was my case. I don't have to admit that I don't know, because I know everything. But I know, I see people, and I can clearly understand that they have problems admitting that they just don't know. And when you don't know, it's a bad thing if you don't realize that, or you don't want to accept it, because you'll do all the possible mistakes. But if you are in awareness of that, and you take some measurements to deal with the situation, you'll do well. And the Romans understood, we don't know the people here, we don't know the language, we don't know the mentality, we don't know their behavior. Why don't we just take a local person, pay him, make sure he's loyal, and he will be our client king. That's what they call it. So it was Antipater the Edomian, a very respectable person from Idumea in the southern part of Israel, who was a convert to Judaism by the Hasmoneans, but was not truly a Jew from his blood. But he was assassinated by the Jews, and his son Herod took control in the year 37 BC. We describe Herod's time as this. Herod started as a fox, reigned like a lion, and died as a dog. That's Herod's life. Starting as a fox, that means he was very clever, very wise, and very sneaky. Watch this. At the time Herod started ruling, no one liked him. I'm not now talking about his mother-in-law or stuff like that. I'm talking about biggies. He was the king of the Jews, and the Jews didn't like him. He was on behalf of Rome, and all the enemies of Rome didn't like him. He was right there in the Middle East, and the Arabs didn't like him. And of course, his boss was Mark Antony, and Mark Antony's lover, Cleopatra, didn't like him. So when your boss's lover don't like you, you are in trouble. You know, Mark Antony was one of the two major Caesars of Rome when Rome was divided to east and west at that time. There was Mark Antony in the east and Octavian on the west. In the year 31 came, just 6 years after Herod came into power, when there was a famous battle between Octavian and Mark Antony, which and of course it ended up with the defeat of Mark Antony. Mark Antony went back home, defeated, humiliated. He went to Alexandria, where he committed a suicide. Shortly after that, his lover Cleopatra committed the suicide, and thus is the end of the Herodian problem with the Egyptian area. However, Herod is in the big trouble. His boss, to whom he was loyal, is dead. And guess who won? The other side. And Herod, known to be a very courageous person, Herod takes the boat. Herod travels all the way to the island of Rhodes, and he stands before Octavian and says, Octavian, I was not on your side. In fact, I grew up not liking you, because you were my boss's enemy. I was very loyal to my boss. My boss just died, you know. And you know, the same loyalty I had to my boss, I can offer to you. Now, you must be very courageous to think that you can come before a Roman Caesar, tell him you don't like him, tell him you were never on his side, and think that you can still keep your head on your shoulders on your way out. Herod's guts and Herod's courage really, I would say this, Octavian liked it. Octavian, at that time, became the ultimate Caesar of the entire empire and received the divine title Augustus Caesar. And now, he needs people that will really be loyal, especially in the era that was not under his auspices. He told Herod, you know what, Herod? I like you. You have the guts to come over here and tell me that. That means you are a true businessman. go back, I'm going to give you more land, more authority, backing up, you are the ultimate king of Judea and the Galilee now. Herod comes back stronger than ever. And Herod, it took time for him, from someone who ran away from every little coup that was occurring in this kingdom, he becomes now the strongest ruler of the Middle East. And he knew one thing: there is no business like God's business. Herod decided to do some major renovations and major building projects in order to generate a lot of money so this kingdom of his will flourish. By the end of Herod's kingdom, Herod realized that now it's a time for him. When he heard that he's sick, a very deadly disease, and he doesn't have that many years to live, he died, by the way, pretty young, in his late 40s. I want you to know that Herod was now free to build his lifelong dream, a Rome on the coast of the Mediterranean. He spotted that on the shores of the Mediterranean there is a lack of real harbors. He saw that there's one north of us in the area of Dor, one south of us in the area of Jaffa, but there's nothing in between. And he realized, if I'm not going to take advantage of the fact that there's nothing here and build something that will serve everyone, but I'm talking about different style and different class. I'm talking about world class. Herod took 12 years to build Caesarea. From the year 22 to 10 BC, he was busy investing millions of shekels into this place that used to be a tiny small fisherman village beforehand. And what he created, and if you got this book, you probably will benefit even just from that alone. Herod built